Oh, conservative commentators. Dinesh D'Souza said the following. The common thread between ISIS and what is going on in Ferguson is you have these people who basically believe that it is correct to perceive injustice. It is correct a perceived injustice, and it's perfectly okay to inflict any type of new injustice. This is what he said on Newsmax television a couple days ago, and he went on to say, beheading a guy who had nothing to do with it is the same as going and looting a shop or from business owners who had no part of the original problem whatsoever. Yes, my silence and my constant blinking is for a reason. Because I just don't understand how you can, okay, philosophically, let's start there. There is a thin line that connects the radicalization of ISIS and what's happening in the community. Now, let me be very clear. I'm going to break this down for you. I promise I will. And it is a lack of acknowledgement, or living in a pressure cooker, or like my mom would say, when you push a dog into a corner, what is he going to do? I'm not comparing any individual dog. I'm using it as an analogy. But in America, black men and boys and black people, especially who live in inner cities or places like Ferguson, have not been acknowledged as people. And they're crying out, and they're frustrated, and they're sick and tired of being just railroaded and ramrodded by society and by policy and by police officers and by government systems. True. ISIS, same thing. These individuals, these young boys who are now ISIS men, 20, 30 years ago, grew up with bombings and raids and colonialism, basically redrawing the borders of their country like you're drawing in like a 4-year-old drawing in a coloring book, right? And now you have then they just ended. And I say this all the time, but since I've been born and I lived in America, we have always dealt with Iraq. We were either in the war in Iraq, de-escalating a war in Iraq, or escalating war in Iraq since my whole entire lifespan. So these boys have grown up seeing killing and carnage and the killing of their mothers, the killing of their sisters, the killings of their brothers, the killing of their uncles, the killing of their fathers, and the same sense of not being acknowledged. Right? And as Martin Luther King says, looting and riots is the voice of the oppressed. Because they're acting out, because the oppression is so great and the consequences are so real and the harms are so deadly, and they're so used to not being acknowledged by a system who doesn't believe they exist or who believes they're another number on a wheel spoke. America, if we want better for our country, we can't go around comparing our black men and boys to ISIS, because there's a difference there. The difference is that they're American. The difference is that while over in ISIS they were being bombed and that level of carnage wasn't happening here in America. But what was happening is the question. They were defunding their schools, right? They had poor living conditions. There was food insecurity. We can go on and on and on and enumerate the situation that got us here, but the question is not what got us here. The question is, America, is how we get out. And ISIS has chosen their way to get out, but for us in this country, we have got to figure out what we're going to do to make sure that this level of non-acknowledgement ends today. And people like D'Souza going around justifying or saying that beheading somebody and looting are the same thing is part of the problem. Because he doesn't understand how we got here. And while he might, by chance, by happenstance, by accident, might have tried to create this connection between ISIS and Ferguson, he doesn't understand the true problem that we face in this country. And that is that we are not acknowledging and we're not cherishing the lives of black men and boys. And we are basically made a statement in this country that the life of a white boy or a white man is worth more than the life of a black man or a black boy. And that's part of the problem. We'll be right back after this break.